In the small town of Belmont, Massachusetts, just outside of Boston, sits a grand house on a hill. It's a home with an inspirational story to tell about community, commitment, and the courage of a small group of women who saved the house from ruin, and in the process saved an important piece of American history. The house was built by a wealthy merchant. His large extended family included a nephew who was destined to become one of the most celebrated artists in the world. This is the story of Winslow Homer, of the town and the house that inspired him, and of the Belmont women who kept his legacy alive. Belmont was an idyllic farming community in the mid-19th century when William Flagg Homer built his 15-room country home, and he spared no expense. The house was an architectural showcase, a combination bracketed Italianate and French mansard design, and the inside was adorned with elaborate detail. A suspended staircase curves to the height of the 12-foot ceiling. A rounded marble fireplace adds warmth and beauty to the parlor. The oval dining room was designed with hand-carved concave doors that melt into curved walls. And outside is the crowning glory of the home, an octagonal cupola with sweeping views for miles around.
Belmont is important in Homer's career. It fostered a place to be with his family. It fostered a landscape of inspiration to him. It gave him nourishment for the rest of his life.
Homer's work is filled with scenes of Belmont people and society. Modern women seeking greater independence. Affluent young women playing the daring new game of croquet on the Homer House lawn. Children at play idealized by Homer. Children at work harvesting the town's strawberry crop. And hard-working Belmont farmers, the men Homer admired most. In 1859, Winslow Homer chronicled the historic moment that Belmont was incorporated as a town, in a sketch called The New Town of Belmont. In the corner, he even inserted himself and a young companion watching the train on its way to Boston. One of his best-known paintings depicts two young Belmont boys, Patrick Keenan and John Carney. They posed for Homer for 75 cents a day and became not only a part of Belmont history, but art history as well. In 2010, Boys in a Pasture was selected by the U.S. Postal Service as a commemorative stamp. Patrick Keenan also appeared in The Blue Boy and several other Homer paintings. In April 1861, the Civil War began, and the Homer House became active in the war effort. One of Winslow's most famous Civil War sketches depicts a group of women in the front parlor sewing uniforms for the Union soldiers. During the war, Homer served behind the lines as an artist correspondent. It was dangerous and exhausting work. When the war ended, Homer returned home to Belmont. In the years that followed, Homer focused his artistic vision on painting and eventually moved to the coast of Maine, where he died in 1910 at age 74. The grand house of his youth had been sold outside of the Homer family more than 2 decades earlier. And by the 1920s, a crisis threatened. A real estate developer planned to buy the Homer house, tear it down, and split the property into 7 lots. Luckily, there was a savior in town, a whole group of them, the Belmont Women's Club. Women's clubs began as a social movement soon after the Civil War. They were a way for women to come together in support of suffrage and other social causes. In 1927, when it was uncommon for women to own property, the Belmont Women's Club obtained a cash down payment and 2 mortgages, so they could purchase the Homer House for $25,000. Then they got to work. The women updated the gas lighting to electricity and began to hold meetings in their new home. In the years that followed, the Belmont Women's Club hosted cultural and civic events. Today, the Homer House is a special place, bustling with educational and community activity, where visitors can imagine a time when young Winslow Homer created art before the world took notice, and where the Belmont Women's Club still watches over the house they rescued, so that guests of the future can step into the past and experience the heritage, culture, and community of the Homer House of Belmont.